Hey, and welcome to Chamber Chat. My name is Brian Bondi. I'm president of the Conroe Chamber of Commerce.
And I'm Ashley Allwood. I'm the Director of Marketing for the Lake Conroe Chamber of Commerce.
Chamber Chat is a monthly program where we sit down and visit with members and guests about business in the Lake Conroe area. We also talk about our special events, things that are upcoming, things that have already happened, and ways for you to get involved. So if you've got a cup of coffee or a bottle of water or whatever your beverage of choice is.
Hey, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, guys.
Well, it could be. That's right. Sit down, join us, and thanks for joining in this morning.
Absolutely.
So we're kind of recovered.
Right. I'm still kind of dehydrated and tired and whatnot from Lobster Fest 2020, our 34th annual huge event over at the fairgrounds as well as Panorama Golf Club. It was an absolute blast. Yeah, like literally my lips are still chapped just from like being in the Lucy Lobster suit and sweating just to death.
Just talking a lot too, right?
Yeah,
just
also talking, just a little bit. Well, I was on when Dick and Skippy were live as well over there from Lobster Fest Live. So
yes,
it was a lot of fun. It was so much fun.
So as many of you may know, Lobster Fest this year was a little bit different for us. No sit-down dinner at the convention center. So we did a drive-through to go, thanks to the folks at the fairground and the convention center. We were able to use the big show barn. And I tell you, not that I'd want to do a drive-through every day, but it went pretty smoothly, all things considered. The cook team, Scott Nee Auto Detailing, all the guys that do the steaks. I mean, my gosh, it was amazing how fast
awesome.
They got everything done.
I haven't heard anything bad about the quality of food or quality of the event yet. So if you do, keep it to yourself. But otherwise, no. Everyone I talked to has just said like, "Wow, you guys really can turn on a dime," and it was awesome. It was just as good, you know. And great to be able to take home and have your bottle of wine or whatever with your significant other and hang out and have your steak and lobster dinner and there instead, you know.
Yeah. And so to keep the conversation going, we have an in-studio guest. Yay!
Yay!
Mr. Cody Spence with All Star Catering. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good.
He's also our current vice chair of special events and brings a unique perspective to Lobster Fest. Or does he?
Meh. I do tell you what though, the drive-through dinner went phenomenal. My wife and in-laws drove through and got a meal, and my in-laws are not easily impressed with food, and they loved it. They said the steak was phenomenal, the lobster was delicious. So yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's good to hear from one more person. Like it was so much fun. And then of course the golf tournament the next day Cody played in.
Right.
We're able to drive around, you know, lunch for everybody. We moved from a shotgun start to tea times with like 3 days left in the debacle, and we got it there. People had a great time. It couldn't have been a prettier day.
Yep. True.
You know, it was just considering all of the obstacles we saw in 2020.
And
wow.
Big shout out to Crown Court for letting me play.
Yeah.
Well, and the other shout out that I really want to make sure that everybody hears is Kelly and Dustin from Vernon's Country Catering,
Yes.
Catfish Catering. Let me tell you something. They were awesome from the word go. You know, obviously this was our first year without Buster. Donnie Buckaloo wasn't able to join us this year. Kelly and Dustin were there from the get-go and a huge help, along with all the guys from the cook team. And how about all the volunteers in the serving lines? I mean,
insane.
There was not a wait, 5 minutes tops in any one line.
Right, until we got right at 5 o'clock when people were kind of, you know, collecting a little bit because we were going at 5 o'clock. There wasn't a wait time for anybody.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah.
And you know, just to brag a little bit, it was Chamber of Commerce weather, just saying.
Right, chamber weather, baby.
Phenomenal.
Both days.
Hashtag chamber weather.
That's right. It's
right.
all good.
Yeah.
So, Cody, tell us about the catering business coming out of the pandemic. I mean, you guys were, you know, making a lot of food for weddings, for business meetings, and then all of a sudden in March, the wheels kind of came off. How have you guys been doing?
Well, we have been recovering. March 16th is when everything hit the fan for us. And the wedding's gone, corporate gone for nearly 2 months. And since then, we're probably back to 85% on weddings.
Okay.
Corporate still has not recovered for us. And it'll probably be a good bit of time, but the weddings are going, and I mean, we're booking them like crazy. Brides are not scared, so
Rona will not ruin my wedding.
pretty much that's pretty much the mentality. And I've probably worked harder in the last 6 months than I ever have, as far as mentally, anyways, and it's been tough, but we've gotten through it. We're still working hard, and we got people that are ready and willing to work. So
the companies that are willing to kind of change and pivot, and I know everyone's kind of sick of the word pivot, but the ones that are able to kind of think outside the box and get different type of stuff done, like you guys did dinners to go and casseroles and all that type of stuff for a little while, just to kind of make ends meet for the time being. Those are the people that are lasting and will last through this, craziness.
correct, and we're lucky to live in such an incredible community that is willing to go out and support the local businesses and stuff. I mean, I can't thank the community enough for stepping up and coming in when they didn't have to, and coming and getting our meals and keeping us floating there for a couple months.
For sure.
That's pretty cool.
It's amazing.
So as the dad of a soon-to-be bride, how difficult was that back in March and April, having to tell some of these brides that had probably been planning for a couple of years that it wasn't going to be able to happen? I mean, that had to have been, I just can't even get my head around that.
So, I went through most of my reserves of alcohol fairly quickly.
Right. We were cashed out in 3 days, and by the 19th we were gone.
All done.
No, and I mean this wholeheartedly, it was absolutely heartbreaking. I mean, there was a lot of times that both me and my wife and my mother would get off the phone, and we were crying. I mean, we were crying with them. Like, it sucks because they were heartbroken.
Yeah.
Now, all the way up until very, very recently, we did not charge any sort of transfer fee or anything like that. If we've already purchased their food, they do have to purchase the food again.
Right.
We are a business.
Absolutely. Without question.
But, we made it as minimalistic of a payment as possible. And we really worked with each individual case one at a time, to make it as transferably friendly as possible. And some of those we were talking to brides 3, 4, 5 times a day to make these things happen, to make sure that we were within, we were available on a day that they wanted to transfer to, so that they didn't have to go find a new caterer and put down a new deposit and things like that. So,
right. It's been so much upheaval for everybody, and I'm just glad that, like I was kind of saying before, that you guys have kind of like stuck with it, got to be able to think outside the box and figure out, exactly what you guys had to do just to stay around, because you make incredible food. You guys are family owned, have been around forever, and we love you guys at the Chamber. So, and we're going to be eating your stuff next week too. So, like, keeping y'all in business over here at the Chamber, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, we love y'all too, and we and y'all have been a huge support, and we can't thank y'all enough.
So, food it's a tough business, and tastes are different. I mean, you cater for a group of 15 versus a group of 450. I mean, how do you make that work? And you must have some really amazing people working for the company to be able to turn those kind of meals around.
We do. So we have an incredible kitchen team. We have a chef, cold chef, a couple different sous chefs, and then we have 4 or 5 event managers, not including me and my wife. We can step in if we need to. And it takes a lot of logistical planning to be able to turn those around and to You'll have to remind me of the question one more time. Sorry, I have a newborn baby. Not a whole lot of sleep.
Right.
Well, if we had been planning for this, we would have had him put a picture up on the
Right.
screen.
Right.
But
A little leaky.
that's right. So I just want to know logistically. I mean, how do you go from a 15 meal lunch to a 450 dinner, plated dinner or whatever? I mean, to me, the logistics of that require people with a lot of skill.
Yes. Okay. So first off, big shout out to my wife, Candace. She is the logistical person. She handles all
The brains of the operation.
pretty much. She game plans everything.
The
from
brains and the looks. Let's be honest.
definitely the looks. Definitely the looks.
I love it.
We sit at home a lot at night and game plan logistically. As far as like the 15-person lunches and things like that, those are fairly simple. We can do those with our eyes closed. But the 450, 500-person events, those are the ones that take a lot of time. We have to have several different shifts of staffs that come in at different times to keep our labor costs down. The food leaves our facility at the last possible minute that it can, and the people that actually transport that food are people that we trust 100% to
Right.
drive. A lot of the times me. And I mean, that's pretty much how we get it done. It's
Right. I think once you would kind of have like a game plan, short of any huge obstacles or something like that, once you have game plans in for kind of this many people, this many people, this many people, then you can kind of execute, okay, this is this many weeks out and this is these days out. And then you can kind of just, keep doing that.
Yeah, we do have a generalized game plan for each different type of event. And we kind of start off at that starting point and then move from there.
Right, and personalize.
And personalize depending on details of the event.
Right.
So,
So you did mention your brand new little nugget,
yep,
Luke.
Luke.
Yes. When was his birthday? Luke, I am
Had to
your
do it
father.
once.
You can obviously do it now.
That's
That's
right.
legit.
It's
Right.
legit.
Right. When was
Yeah.
he? How old is he now?
He is today 4 weeks old. So
No
almost a
way.
month. Almost a month.
That doesn't
Man.
seem possible.
I
Yeah,
know.
no, that's why I was asking because I'm like, okay, it feels like it was like 2 days ago, and then it feels like it was maybe like 3 months ago because of just Lobster Fest being crazy and everything like that.
Yeah.
How is it like so far having a boy versus a girl, and how is Lindley handling it?
Lindley, towards him, is handling it incredible.
Yeah.
Towards us, she's a little standoffish.
How dare you?
How'd you bring the stranger in here? And how old Lindley is 3, right?
Fixing to turn 3.
Right. I was
Yep.
gonna say
And
because
a diva.
Yeah.
Boy, she's high maintenance. just like her daddy.
Yeah. This
yeah.
weekend mine is 3.5, so I knew it was about 6 months. But
Yeah.
yeah. It's I'm sure it's an interesting dynamic to kind of bring in a new little stranger.
It is, and thankfully, school started back up for her, so now we just have him at the office as opposed to both of them.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So, because we had both of them at the office for 2 days, and I'm
Whoa.
like, we are not doing
It felt
the
like
same.
3 months. Yeah.
It did. It was
Yeah.
difficult. You just don't get a whole lot of work done.
No.
So,
No.
yeah.
Yeah, you turn into a daycare instead of a catering service. And
Yeah, pretty much. And you end up working a lot at home whenever they go to sleep. So,
Right,
and
right.
I prefer to spend time with my wife when I can.
Well,
Right.
and it's actually is a great illustration of how difficult it is to run a small business with a growing family.
Correct.
I mean, you can't just drop them off somewhere every day and be able to run your business and then come back and pick them up at 5 o'clock. Your hours are totally different in many cases.
And especially in COVID. I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
with the less
I bet.
options, less and less options. Grandparents who may be a little bit more, in the fragile category, vulnerable category, with any sort of comorbidities as they call them on the news all the time. But yeah, it's a new landscape for everybody.
Right. And, shout out again, also to my mother, Kawena, who ran things for 2 weeks by herself with the assistance of one of our newer in-office personnel, Bridget, who we hired her mid-February,
Oh my gosh.
right before everything hit. And we were looking for this person for a year and a half
Right.
to fill this spot.
Wow.
Because we wanted a very specific person that had a clear understanding of what our expectations were and kind of what the job entailed. And it's it's a gopher job. I mean, sometimes you have to do this, sometimes you have to do that.
Right.
It's not a straight
a lot of
line
hats,
job.
yeah.
Yeah. And then everything hit in March, and all of a sudden all these weddings were transferring and canceling and all this stuff. And, we had a serious discussion of, hey, we have to hold on to her.
Right.
She's too good not to. And we did everything we possibly could to make sure that she still had a paycheck coming in.
Good.
Right.
And she's still with us. And,
Still
and
does.
she was a vital part of everything running so smoothly while we were out. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Nice.
Absolutely. Way to go, Bridget.
Yeah,
Big
Bridget.
ups.
Big shout out
props.
to you. Good job.
Absolutely. That's good. It's hard to find good hands. Like my dad always has said that, like when I was a kid up until now, but it's hard to find a good hand.
Yeah.
And
It
it's
is.
absolutely accurate.
Well, it's easy to find a good worker. It's tough to find a good worker that's a good worker after a month or two.
Right.
That's the tough part.
point.
Anyone can hold on to, anyone can toe the line for a month.
Right.
But if you can't, you have to make sure that you can do it for 2, 3, and then a year, 2, 3 years.
Right.
And those the people you got to hold on to.
Yeah, if
sure.
you can get through 3 years, man, that says a lot
Right.
about not only the person working, but the person who has to work with them.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
I made it to 2 so far. I made it to 2 so far. This last week was 2 for me
sure
at the
was.
We're glad
chamber.
to have you.
So thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Just got to get to that 3 mark.
Exactly. Until then, I'm just going to be trash. No, like nah. She's still. We're still in a period.
Still in
yeah.
that probationary period.
period. Right. Exactly. Well, if I haven't proved myself after this point, anyway.
No, you've been phenomenal.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You really, really have.
Thanks.
Okay, so why are you involved in the Chamber of Commerce?
Well, one, I find it incredibly enjoyable and fulfilling to give back to the community. And being a part of the chamber is a great way to do so. And second of all, it helps my business.
Ah, really?
Yeah.
Tell us
What?
more.
Yeah. Shut up.
Several of my biggest and most consistent clients I have gotten through the chamber. And I meet a lot of good contacts for things that I might have to outsource, like getting my building cleaned, things like that. And then also people who need catering, surgery. Me and Sergio, with Sergio's landscaping, we're having a conversation with you the other day about he needs an event catered in December.
That's right.
That right there alone, that conversation alone paid for my membership. And I have 2 or 3 of those conversations at every event that I go to.
So we need to increase your membership then. That's what that tells me.
No, that's not what that tells you.
You get in what you put in. Okay.
Yeah,
You get you get out what you put in.
And you do.
That's a
And you do.
great point.
Yeah.
So it really just reinforces what we always say is that people do business with people they know and trust. And we provide an avenue for people to get to know people, build relationships, and do business. What a great concept.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
And we've been doing it for 86 years.
We sure have.
Boom.
Me for 2, but everybody for 86.
86.
Yeah.
As
the
a community.
concept. Yeah, absolutely.
And have you noticed, as Conroe has grown, has your business also grown? Have you seen an increase of new customers as opposed to some of the ones you've always done business with?
Yes, and more particularly in the wedding business.
Oh, okay.
The amount of wedding venues that have come with the growing area is
Right.
it's bananas.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go 2 or 3 miles in either direction of 105, between 105 and 45 and 105 in Brenham, I think there's the last statistic I looked at was there's 25 or 26 wedding venues, but that was 2 years ago.
Right.
So there's probably more now.
Yeah,
I
at
would
least
say
a handful more have
Yeah, I would
opened
say
up.
probably closer to 30 now.
Yeah.
So
That's a competitive business right there.
it is, but what we've seen instead of market saturation is a lot of people coming from like Katy and the Houston area coming up here to get married. So,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
Great.
it hasn't saturated the market yet. Knock on
Yeah,
wood.
knock on wood.
But
Right.
but yes, I've definitely seen a good amount of growing business
Excellent.
with the area.
Well, I mean, being the fastest growing city in America for a couple years in the last couple years, I mean, there's going to be actual people living here that are trying to get married. There's going to be people moving and coming up here, businesses moving here.
Right.
And it's really cool to be a part of.
Correct.
It's cool to just watch it grow and see the new stuff come. I mean, there's a Chipotle down in Montgomery.
What?
I'm so
Wow.
pumped. I
Go
know.
figure that one out, huh?
I know.
Hey, I
right?
remember when Willis first got a Whataburger. Are you kidding me?
No,
I
next
was
level.
so excited.
I remember when my hometown in Ohio got a Taco Bell. It was after I had moved away, and I was still like genuinely excited for the people in my town. Like I had moved away 15 years before, and I was just like, "Oh, congratulations, North Royalton! You got yourself a Taco
You
Bell."
got a Taco Bell. You have risen to the top of the food chain.
Yeah, buddy.
Hey, stay with us. We're going to take a break real quick. We're going to come back and continue visiting with Cody Spence. You're listening to Chamber Chat on Lone Star Community Radio. We'll be right back.
Listen in Mondays at noon to hear Conroe news from local nonprofits, businesses, upcoming events, Conroe Park events, news stories, and information that matters to you with your host, Margie Taylor of Taylorized PR. For more information about being a guest, visit irlonestar.com/Conroe Culture.
Lone Star Community Radio is ready for the summer. If you or anyone you know is looking for a summer internship, Lone Star Community Radio is a great place to learn the radio and TV business. Contact the station at info@irlonestar.com or call the station's message line at 936-647-3776. Lone Star Community Radio offers a great opportunity to those interested in learning about the radio world.
We have the safest food supply in the world. Strict laws and regulations restrict the usage of hormones, antibiotics, and pesticides within our food supply. Production agriculture practices and technologies such as the use of GMOs, which is not any more or less risky than conventional crop production, has allowed American farmers to produce more food on less acres in environmentally sound ways. Find out more online at pathtotheplate.tamu.edu. We are Texas A&M Agri-Life Extension, helping Texans make lives better.
Lone Star Community Radio is looking for those who are interested in hosting their own talk show. With monthly and weekly slots available on Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1, and on irlonestar.com. Start your own podcast, create your first YouTube channel, and be on TV. Contact Lone Star Community Radio online at irlonestar.com or call the message line at 936-647-3776 to take your first step into the radio world.
Does your company have needs that can be met by an employee who is dependable, hardworking, enthusiastic, motivated, cooperative, respectful, and punctual? Conroe Independent School District Special Education Department can meet your needs by connecting you with potential employees that have been preparing for a lifetime of employment. We have numerous individuals seeking paid and unpaid work experiences. If your company is interested in seeing how we can meet your business needs, call Conroe ISD Special Education Department to find the best employees for you at 936-709-7671.
Our talk shows and music shows are looking for sponsors. Want to expand your brand awareness? Reach the hyper-local audience in Montgomery County? The Lone Star Community Radio sponsorships accomplish this. Want to see our stats and rates? Check out irlonestar.com/sponsor for more information. Or call in and leave us a message at 936-647-3776 with your question. Get seen on TV or YouTube and heard on our podcast, FM, and internet radio. Sponsor your local radio station with Lone Star Community Radio.
Good morning, everybody. It's Ashley Allwood, the Director of Marketing for the Conroe Lake Conroe Chamber of Commerce, and you're listening to Chamber Chat.
Oh, and I'm Brian Bondi. I'm president of the chamber, and I'm trying to jump on these verbal cues as quickly as possible.
Hey, you know, I'm an old pro.
I know you are. You're an old pro.
But we wanted to hop back in to talking with Cody Spence here in just a second from All Star Catering. But we do have some really great things coming up to register, educate, and vote to get revved up here in Conroe Lake Conroe area coming up. We have our City Candidate Forum coming up on October 12th. And who all is going to be on that? It's going to be a Zoom call, and you can register right there over at conroe.org.
Yeah, so we've
But-
invited all of the candidates for city council and the mayor's race. So obviously, the elections were supposed to be held back in May. COVID put a kibosh on that, and it got pushed to the November general election. So this year's ballot is probably going to be one of the most extensive ballots in the history of voting, because you'll have local, you'll have county, you'll have state, you'll have federal. There'll be constitutional amendments. I mean, it seems like there's always something on the ballot, and I think it's very important. The registration deadline was actually yesterday.
Right.
So if you haven't gotten your registration in by yesterday, you won't be able to vote in probably one of the most important elections in our history.
Right. I think another very important point to make is the fact that you need to vote down the entire ticket. You need to vote at the local level.
Start to finish.
Start to finish. Every single checkbox that you can make will affect your daily life. And the thing is, like, maybe you think that, well, my vote doesn't count, my voice doesn't count. But, I mean, these people that are going to be setting, the tax, breaks and everything here locally are going to be in office. The people that are setting up all the roads and all of the lights when you have to drive your kid to work, drive your kid to school, and it's a pain in the butt, and you're stopping right and left, and there's wrecks and stuff on 105. These are the people that are deciding whether or not we get lights put up at certain intersections. All of these smaller things that you don't think like, oh, well, I'll just vote for president and leave. I don't have the time to. You need to make the time.
Well, I mean, they control emergency response funds, things like that. And I mean, I argue that the local stuff is much more important than the presidential stuff,
Right.
and the national stuff.
Right.
As a result of this year's census, the state legislature will go back to the drawing boards and redraw district lines for congressional seats.
Really?
So who you choose at your state level is probably, as you said, more important than who you choose at the federal level. At the end of the day, these are all important elections. And, I've talked to so many people who are like, oh, I know so-and-so is going to win. I'm not even going to worry about voting. No, it doesn't work that way.
Right.
I mean,
That's a ridiculous
That's the
attitude.
most, that's the worst possible case scenario.
Right.
I saw that 60% of people, just 60% of voters, of people who were of age to vote, voted last year, or voted in 2016. Like, that 40%, given the actual numbers that come in, electoral college, all the way down to local city stuff, if only 60% of the people show up, which is even less in smaller areas, or in towns and that type of stuff, yes, your vote does count. Your vote does matter, because it could be, 317 people voting, and you could be the 318th that make it go a different direction.
Well, it's like wasn't there some sort of bond at some point that, like, it came down to like a minuscule amount of votes, and it didn't go through.
And that you bring up a great point. Any election can turn because of voter turnout.
Right.
Real simple concept, right? If it works both ways. If you have this huge turnout, you can see somebody who may not have been elected if the voter turnout had been lower, but if you have a small voter turnout, it could be even worse. And so we just want to encourage people, go to mctx.org/elections, download a sample ballot, and go ahead, print it out, mark the people that you want, and take it with you to the polls. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Right. You have to take your mask. You have to take your ID,
Yep.
some sort of ID.
Yep.
But you can't take your phone. So if you want to print something out,
Print it
your
out.
sample ballot, then you can take it with you.
If you're not sure, educate yourself. There's a lot of information. The Chamber is putting out tons of information on candidates locally, as well as others. And the forum that we're going to have on next Monday, the 12th, is part of that. If you're not sure about who's running, grab a ticket, sit in on it. You'll be amazed at what you hear. And then the follow-up to that is October the 22nd.
Right. We have our Conroe ISD Board of Trustees candidate forum. So can you explain to me what these people are and what they would do once they would be elected to this board?
So the school district is a lot like a nonprofit organization. You have an elected body that sets policy, and you have staff that implements it. And so when we're talking about education of 60 some odd thousand students in Conroe ISD, you want a board of trustees that's open, intelligent,
Innovative,
exactly, and listens to things to make sure that the education that the staff presents is cutting edge, top of the line, number one, which means businesses want to come here with their families, and it creates that trickle-down effect.
Right. So that's October 22nd. You can get tickets for that as well over at conroe.org over on our website. And you can also, of course, check us out on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, and YouTube. We're all over all of those. So make sure that you are getting, if you can't find the information, you ain't looking.
Amen to that.
That's how I feel. But yeah, in addition to that, we have our forum or whatever on the 12th, but then 13th starts early voting, which to me, and it's been extended this year as well.
3 weeks.
Yeah. So to me, it's like save your time in the line. You know, you can go to any voting location and early vote. You don't have to go to your specific precinct.
That's right.
So there's one right down here at the courthouse that me and the other girls in the office, and Brian does too, walks across and goes and votes there early, because it's not like you have to wait until November 3rd at exactly 8 a.m. like we're waiting for TVs at Walmart on Black Friday. You have 3 weeks to do it in advance.
I actually go to the North County Community Center in Willis because there's never a line.
I was just about to say
saying.
that.
Well,
I'm
there you are.
like, I don't
love
know.
that place.
I don't know the last time that I actually voted on the day of. I always early vote because it's a quarter mile from my office, and there is never
Right.
a line
The
at the
most
North
I've-
Montgomery County.
It's
The
a
Community
most
great
I've ever seen
location.
at the courthouse is maybe like 2 or 3 people in front of me. So it's not like, you know, I'm leaving work, so it's okay. You're allowing us to go and vote, so it's not like there's this big line around the building or anything like that. But there's 2 or 3 people
But she leaves at 11:30 and
Yeah,
doesn't
I
come
know,
back
right?
until 4. Wow.
doing my civic duty, baby. doing my civic duty.
But yeah, I mean, I'm excited because early voting has been extended an extra week. So you've got 3 weeks to get out there, get it done, so that you're not in the line on election day. But the most important thing I want to reiterate, and we've been talking about, is just please vote. That
Please.
makes a difference, and it is part of that civic responsibility that we have.
A whole lot of people did a whole lot of things to make sure that we could do this,
Right.
you know, starting next week. So please go out and show your respects for the people that have put it out there. Women, Black people, people of all sorts of different ages and races and versions of people out there that have done so much to be able to have that voice heard. You know, I saw something on Facebook this morning of a lady that was born, I think she was 102. So when she was born, she couldn't, like, when she was able to vote, she wasn't able to vote. After the age of, you know, after she turned 18, then she was able to vote and has been voting since, you know, since she could when she was like 25 or something like that.
That's amazing.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And she was out there with her mask on at the mailbox, like putting her stuff in
That's
with her
cool.
little walker. And I mean, if it's important to her, if you want her voice to be heard, which, you know, yes, that's a nice feel-good story, but I want my 40-year-old voice to be heard, and I want your 25-year-old voice to be heard, and I want your 31 and your whatever
Whatever you
age, right? You know,
32.
Yeah, that's
you're
right.
32?
That's it. That's
Yeah.
it. Yeah, thank you.
exactly 32 forever. But yeah, I mean, all the voices need to be heard.
Yeah, it's a pretty unique concept when you sit down and think about it. That almost 250 years ago they came up with this idea, and it still works to this day.
And the thing is, if you're not happy with how things are going on any level, governmentally wise, then don't be upset if you don't come out and vote. You know, come out if you don't think that your voice is heard. Make sure you get enough people to come out and vote and make it heard.
You know, there's a Costa Rica down in Central America. They traditionally have between an 85 and 95% voter turnout for all their elections, and part of it's because when the parents go to the polls, they take their kids with them. They're actually allowed to take their kids into the voting poll with them, which it's not allowed here in the U.S. And there was a program that was started back in the late 80s called Kids Voting USA. And the concept was that if a precinct had the adult election or the regular election over here, we'd set up a separate location in the same building where kids would go in and cast a ballot while their parents voted. And, you know, it teaches conflict resolution, at the ballot box.
I like it.
You don't like what somebody's doing? Vote for the other person. You like what they're doing? Vote for them. But the thing is, if you don't learn that habit early on in your life, then it becomes very difficult when you turn 18 to turn on that switch and say, okay, now I'm going to go register to vote and go vote.
Right.
See, I remember being in like high school, junior high, elementary school, and us actually voting, like in the school.
In the school, yeah, we did that
And
too.
I mean, when I turned 18, I couldn't wait to vote.
Right. Yeah, I remember our elementary schools, like our gyms and stuff, would have like that's where the voting location was in town or whatever, and people would come, and we would just be so excited, kind of about the process and everything.
Yeah.
You know, but if you aren't represented, go out and represent yourself.
Exactly.
It's time to stand up.
Every single vote does count, and that's, I think, the important thing to remember. So those are our two events coming up in October, post Lobster Fest. From there, we're going to kind of cruise into the end of the year and get ready to hit the ground running with Job Fair in 2021.
Yep, job fair. Lord, we have a gala. We have all sorts of different stuff coming up. But I mean, the Pulse series is something that's kind of conveniently can kind of go throughout the year. As far as, I mean, it's a special year this year because there is, more, bigger elections and that type of stuff. But as far as, state of education, state of the county, it's just good to kind of touch base. And it's something that the chamber offers that, a lot of organizations just don't. And, people don't know that the chamber offers. As far as, what is happening, I want to know. All you have to do is come over to conroe.org or, over to our social media or anything like that. And chances are in the next month or two, we'll have something to help you educate yourself about what's going on in your community. It's just up to you if you want to use it or not.
That's right.
So
Well said.
yeah.
I'm a believer. I'll sign up.
Preach,
Go.
exactly. I know I'm preaching to the choir right here because y'all have been members forever. Everybody in this room has been. But yeah, I think it's something that kind of goes by the wayside. You don't think about the governmental advocacy piece of the chamber. It's not just we just go and have mixers after work.
No.
No, we do way, way more. And that's why we're 5-star accredited.
That's why we're 5-star
Yeah.
credited.
Boom.
So bam.
Drop the mic.
Knowledge
Exactly. I don't have anything else to say. Boom.
Oh, yeah. And one of only 2 5-star accredited chambers in the entire Houston metro area. Just saying.
Just
Hey,
saying.
and
Holla.
I tell you what, another good benefit of the chamber is that gal that I was telling you about, Bridget, that we
Yes.
hired.
Yes.
We got her. She saw our listing
On our job board?
on your job board for the
Hey.
chamber. So
Put your stuff on the job boards. Like people
Seriously.
don't think
If you
about it.
remember, it's free.
Right. Why wouldn't you do that? There's so many things that are already within your investment level that people just don't use enough. We have a couple of staffing services that tend to use our job board, pretty good. But any small business can put it out to that many people.
Yes.
I mean, we have thousands of people look at our website every month. Like,
Yep.
come on, like just put it out there. You may find your own little Bridget.
and it wasn't like 2 months. It was like a week.
Nice.
And
Right.
this spot was filled.
Nice.
Booyah.
So
Booyah.
y'all are the bomb.
Right.
All right. So let's go back to the catering business. How did you end up in the family part of the business? Was it osmosis?
It was osmosis.
That's what I
I
thought.
was
Were
born
you
into it.
voluntold?
I was voluntold.
Voluntold.
I worked for free. But family business, looking back on it, I wouldn't have changed it at all. My mom and dad started this when I was 15 in high school, and they just kind of started it as something to do, make a little bit of money. They sold a business that they had prior to that, and my dad spent 30 years in the food business prior to owning the business that they sold. And so naturally gravitated back to the food business, and they just wanted something that they can make a little money here and there. And it just kind of turned into this.
Wow.
And
And here we are.
and yeah, he made a contact that he, I think he made it through the chamber, but we'll say, because I'm here, we'll say
Yeah.
he made it through the
It
chamber.
was definitely the chamber.
It was definitely
It was
the
the
chamber,
chamber.
100%.
Do not correct us.
And that had asked us to run the liquor and food for a country club that they had taken over. The bank had taken it over, and from there it just boom, it
Bada boom, bada
exploded.
bing.
Yep.
Nice.
And around that time, the wedding industry really exploded around here, and it just took off from there.
Right. If you haven't had Cody and his family's candied bacon, you're doing yourself a disservice here in the Conroe Lake Conroe area because it's legitimately the best little morsel of yumminess you can put in your mouth.
Boom.
Yeah,
Done.
that's what made having to cancel Taste Fest this year so sad because, we're just waiting for it.
That was legitimately a comment that we got more often than you might think.
Really?
Candied
we want the
bacon?
candied bacon because you guys are right at the first booth or whatever.
Always the first, yeah.
And that is just the jam. It's the best. So if when Valentine's Day and stuff comes around, you guys need to figure out some sort of bouquet that you can do with the candied bacon in
sticks.
it.
Oh, that's a great idea.
We've done bacon roses before.
Yeah, I'm thinking that could be, if we're still kind of weird in pandemic mode or whatever, it might be a nice little delivery.
Yeah.
If anybody's listening out there wants to send me some candied bacon.
I'm thinking candy bacon wrapped stuffed jalapenos.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Salty, sweet, hot.
Right.
We've had people buy it and crumple it up and put it in salads like with,
for
with
sure.
pecans and
Sure,
stuff.
sure.
And they
yeah.
love it.
That's a great idea.
with some strawberries and some like the whole kind of
Vinaigrette.
Yeah, spinach salad. That would be legit.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As we're getting close to lunchtime.
So for Valentine's Day, do get candy bacon bouquet. Is
Candy
that what we're
bacon
Yeah, that would be
bouquet.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else do I really, really love of y'all?
It's a gift that keeps on
Right.
giving.
I think you could do the little roses with like the cheese and the salamis. You could make
Oh,
little
yeah.
roses like that on the end, and split those up.
The
People don't
pepperoni
know what they're
cones or the
talking about.
pepperoni.
Pepperoni cones. Love
Yeah.
those.
Yeah, pepperoni cone.
I actually like that. That's one of my favorites.
That's a pretty
Yeah.
good bite.
It's so good and easy and just perfect. Like
Delicious.
there's nothing else you need to do to it. but-
Actually, the favorite thing, everybody does love the candy bacon. I love the candy bacon as well, but my favorite thing is our venison canapes. And it's herb cream cheese on a toast point with a piece of venison and then a raspberry chipotle glaze.
well,
on
you
top.
should probably
Love
bring
it.
some by just to
Yeah,
make sure.
I was just going to
Just to
say,
make sure.
we should have some here in the studio, but we
Yeah.
don't.
Right. Yeah.
You're
sorry, guys.
officially
Bad
done.
planning.
Yeah. Terrible.
Right.
I'm horrible.
So yeah, you can whenever next week you're bringing some stuff. If you got a couple extra laying around,
Just throw them in the truck.
right? Appreciate it. Yeah.
So let's do this. Let's take a break, and then we'll come back and wrap up this episode of Chamber Chat. You're listening to it on Lone Star Community Radio.
Health Center Southeast Texas is a federally qualified health center. We accept Medicare, Medicaid, and most major private insurances. For our self-pay patients, we have a sliding scale discount program available. Our health centers have qualified providers and staff striving every day to provide the best quality of care to our patients. Services offered are family medicine, behavioral health services, telepsychiatry, and pediatrics. We have 4 area locations. Look up the Health Center Southeast Texas online at hcset.com.
Hey guys, this is Connor.
This is Dick.
This is Chris.
And we're with the Ticket Stub Podcast every Thursday live at noon on 104.5 and 106.1 FM in the Conroe area. Also, anytime at irlonestar.com. You go to irlonestar.com/TTS. You can find all of our social media.
And don't forget, we give away 2 tickets to the Grand Theater on every show. If you like movies and you like complaining or celebrating anything that has to do with the silver screen, check out the Ticket Stub Podcast and join us every Thursday at noon o'clock on Lone Star Community Radio.
Lone Star Community Radio is looking for those who are interested in hosting their own talk show. With monthly and weekly slots available on Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1, and on irlonestar.com. Start your own podcast, create your first YouTube channel, and be on TV. Contact Lone Star Community Radio online at irlonestar.com or call the station message line at 936-647-3776.
Hey y'all, it's DJ Mike from Dance Time in Texas. Join me Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. as I count down the top 10 Texas Red Dirt songs that are packing the dance floor. I'll be featuring local artists and the story behind the hits, shows in the area, as well as new songs that make you want to dance. It's Dance Time in Texas with DJ Mike on Lone Star Community Radio, 104.5 KCZW and 106.1 KZCC, Conroe, Texas, or online, irlonestar.com.
A Lone Star Community Radio is Montgomery County's radio station with talk, music, weather, and traffic for Montgomery County. Have a question or comment about one of our shows? Want to know how to reach a host? Just contact the station at irlonestar.com or call in and leave a message at 936-647-3776. Get involved with your community with Lone Star Community Radio.
Hey, you're listening to Chamber Chat on Lone Star Community Radio. I'm Brian Bondi, president of the Lake Conroe Chamber of Commerce.
And I am Ashley Allwood, the director of marketing for the Lake Conroe Chamber of Commerce. And while we talked about some stuff coming up in the coming weeks, we have some great stuff coming up this week.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, we have our governmental affairs meeting with Representative Will Metcalf giving the talk. So that should be a lot of fun. Will's always, somebody good to talk to. So make sure you check that out also.
Could register for free at conroe.org. It starts at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Be very interesting with the legislature going into session in January to hear what he has to say.
Absolutely. And we are going back. Thank you, Jesus, and everybody. Shiva, Vishnu, whoever you're into. Thank you, Jesus. We're going back to Conroe's Incredible Pizza for Morning Mingle this Thursday morning.
Mario, better watch out. We're coming your way.
Yeah,
Mario,
buddy.
Kim, watch out. We are absolutely pumped. You can still get tickets for that. They're $10 if you're a member, $15 at the door, or if you're not yet a member, you can just check that out also at conroe.org.
Bro, that's beautiful. Before we get too far along, because we only have a few minutes left, I also want to give a shout out to our producer over here, Dick. We loved having Lobster Fest live both Thursday and Friday. I hope you and Sean enjoyed your time there as well. I know we fed you, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Y'all drank plenty of Lobster Fest ale,
Oh,
so
well,
that was good.
And I definitely loved. I went home with plenty of it. My wife was like, "What do you want to do with this?"
Drink it.
And I was like, "Well, we can store it. It's warm. We can cool it down. Whatever you want to do. We got plenty of it." But yeah, the event was great. The live remote went well, and we look forward to doing more remote events with the chamber. That's for sure.
Yeah, it was. It was a lot of fun. I loved looking over and seeing different people, sitting there chatting, and that's what made it for us valuable, is to have a lot of different business community leaders visiting with you while you were doing the on-air. So.
Well, one thing I will say, when we were doing the Thursday night remote at the barn area of the county fair, I was just waiting for someone to start honking.
Right.
Because I was sitting there and I go, man, we're in this echo thing, and we're on the air, and people are lining up to get food, and I'm just waiting for the one joker, having fun honking.
Like, woo, Lobster Fest.
Yeah,
ow!
something.
That would have been Warner Phelps.
No.
Most definitely.
Well, because those people, they're all having fun. Like, it's a great event, so other people would start honking too and
of
waving.
Course. Yes.
But I was really surprised no one started like the equivalent of the wave, but with the honk.
Right.
So
thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. And thank you guys sincerely. I think we really kind of made something even more special of Lobster Fest this year, with kind of having you guys out there, making something more of it. Like we talked about, we had to make a complete 180, make it a drive-through, change all this different stuff up, and to be able to add these fun little elements like Lucy Lobster and the live radio show and all this type of stuff really made it a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to next year because we're going to make it better. My goal for next year is to be able to go on to different holes and interview people while we're on the air and stuff like that. Because a lot of people were asking, like, what's this Canon thing they're talking about? And I was like, I wish we could gotten a picture of that because I don't really fully understand what
That was
it
right
is.
behind y'all.
Yeah, it was on hole like
5.
It was on 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, excuse me, sir. You just got a triple bogey. How do you feel about that?
I was thinking the exact same thing. Cody Spence, you just missed the putt. Where you going to go now?
And he just threw all of his clubs in the lid. All right, great.
We got it on tape.
Yes, we do.
Well, all the pictures are up now on our Facebook page, so make sure you check that out. CCLC Chamber is our chamber, but you can just look for the Conroe Chamber, and we'll be over there on Facebook. But a picture of the lobster launcher, several pictures of the lobster launcher.
That's right.
Are over there. It's pretty much just a big potato gun that shoots golf balls.
So another shout out to Dave Fugeron with Southern Star Brewing, Steve Hall with Crown, Cork, and Seal, and Dylan Farr with Fast Signs. We did a community collaboration, and they created for us Lobster Fest Ale that Dick was just talking about. And we gave it away in droves, and the positive feedback says maybe we should do this again and start a commemorative can.
Everybody was loving it.
That's the plan. That's the plan. Dave is in. Steve is in.
Let me tell you, that beer is outstanding.
It
I don't
is.
care
It's
how-
very good.
It's just
Right.
amazing.
And to know it's right here, like literally down the street, like we could go run and grab one right now, is awesome.
Well, what I found interesting about it was learning from Crown, Cork, and Seal and Southern Star and Fast Signs. Like I'm pretty sure you could say that entire can was produced within Conroe.
Yes.
Yes, it
like
was.
everything.
Correct.
Nothing really was imported. It was like the Crown Cork and Seal aligned the can. They filled the can. They put fast signs, put the label on.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, that's really cool. A cool way to tell people. It's like, hey, this was made here, and it was good.
From
So
top to bottom, the beer was brewed.
The
yep,
can was made.
The can was made. The label was printed. It was slapped on there. Like, I mean,
It was
and it was all
drank in
drank.
Conroe.
It was.
Man, a lot of it was drank.
Actually, that's a lie. There was a couple consumed in Atlanta, Texas.
In Atlanta,
So that's where I was.
Okay,
Touche.
there you go.
You know
So
what? We're
people-
going worldwide, baby. Let's do this.
Lobster Fest
People
Ale.
were asking, like, what is this? I'm like, oh, it's just chamber beer. Our chamber's great.
Yeah.
And then they're like, this is
Chamber
good
beer.
beer. I'm like, yeah, it's chamber beer.
That sounds. I don't
Great
even know.
taste.
even
No
know.
lobsters.
Great
Yeah.
taste, no lobsters.
Does your chamber
Exactly.
make beer? I don't.
Yeah, probably not, because they're not as cool as the Conroe Lake Conroe Chamber. So deal with it. Whatever.
Pretty sure I've checked, and I don't think there's another chamber that did what we've done.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Thank you guys.
We need to
appreciate
post it
that.
on the Chamber Professionals
Yes, we do.
page. And now that I have all the pictures back and stuff, I'll have to do that.
But it, it does. It takes a partnership, and we had some very willing participants. They thought it was a great idea too. It was great PR for all of the entities, and great product to share with our friends.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about. Sharing with friends at the Conroe Chamber. Get connected, stay connected, and we got to wrap it up because
Yeah.
they got to let somebody else on the radio, I suppose.
Well, maybe we don't want to give up our seats.
Yeah, maybe.
Got a great view of the studio audience here. There's tons of people in downtown Conroe.
Well, thanks so much for joining us today. I'm Ashley Allwood, the Director of Marketing for the Conroe Chamber of Commerce, and you have listened to Chamber Chat. Please join us again the next first Tuesday of November when we talk to Who Knows Who and talk about who knows what. Thanks so much, guys, for listening.
Thanks, Cody.
Thank y'all very
Yeah.
much. Appreciate it.
All right.